Story 1, Adaptation 2002. Charlie Kaufman. There was this time in high school. I was watching you out the library window. You were talking to Sarah Marsh. Donald Kaufman. Oh God, I was so in love with her. Charlie Kaufman. I know. And you were flirting with her, and she was being really sweet to you. Donald Kaufman. I remember that. Charlie Kaufman. Then, when you walked away, she started making fun of you with Kim Canetti. Felt like they were laughing at me. You didn't know at all. You seemed so happy. Donald Kaufman. I knew. I heard them. Charlie Kaufman. How come you looked so happy? Donald Kaufman. I loved Sarah. Charles. It was mine, that love. I owned it. Even Sarah didn't have the right to take it away. I can love whoever I want. Charlie Kaufman. But she thought you were pathetic. Donald Kaufman. That was her business, not mine. You are what you love, not what loves you. That's what I decided a long time ago. Story 2. We accept the love we think we deserve. I think that if I ever have kids and they are upset, I will not tell them that people are starving in China or anything like that because it would not change the fact that they are upset. And even if somebody else has it much worse, that does not really change the fact that you have what you have. Perks of being a wallflower. I don't know if I'm a cliché. Story 3. Nothing worth having is easy to come by. Dr. Robert Kelso. Story 4. A boy who idealizes war is perplexed as to why a war hero wants to retire and become a farmer. He asks the wise warrior why he seems to despise war. The warrior replies, "There is more honor in a field well plowed than in one steeped in blood." Story 5. Many of the truths we cling to depend largely on your point of view. Ben Kenobi. Story 6. I survived because the fire inside burned brighter than the fire around me. Joshua Graham, Fallout New Vegas. Story 7. Vim's line about his alcoholism, "One is too many, two is not enough," made me realize that cutting down would not work and that I would have to stop completely. I have been sober for nearly 5 years now. Story 8. It is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not weakness. That is life. Jean-Luc Picard. Story 9. Tomorrow's the day you'll pay the bills. Tomorrow's the day you'll grow up and start acting responsible. But tomorrow never comes for you, because it's always so conveniently a day away. Susie Hay Arnold. I had to copy and paste it because I forgot the original quote verbatim, but the phrase tomorrow never comes always stuck with me despite being a massive procrastinator. Story 10. The hero decides to give their life to save the day. Because of their sacrifice, the good guys win, the survivors cheer, and everyone lives happily ever after. But the hero never gets to see that ending. They will never know whether their sacrifice made a difference or whether the day was truly saved. In the end, they must have faith. Isn't that a bitch? Epsilon, Red versus Blue. Story 11. How lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard. Alan Alexander Milne. Story 12. You cannot keep blaming yourself. Just blame yourself once and move on. Homer Simpson. One of the wisest pieces of advice I have ever heard. Story 13. Burns. Well, everybody knows, war is hell. Honeycutt. Remember, you heard it here last. Hawkeye, war isn't hell. War is war and hell is hell. And of the two, war is a lot worse. Father Mulcahy. How do you figure that, Hawkeye? Hawkeye, easy, father. Tell me who goes to hell. Father Mulcahy. Sinners, I believe. Hawkeye, exactly. There are no innocent bystanders in hell, but war is chock full of them. Little kids, cripples, old ladies. In fact, except for a few of the brass, almost everybody involved is an innocent bystander. Story 14. You know, it's at times like this when I'm trapped in an airlock with a man from Beetlejuice and about to die of asphyxiation in deep space, that I really wish I'd listened to what my mother told me when I was young. Why, what did she tell you? I don't know. I didn't listen. Arthur Dent. Story 15. I'm a quitter. I come from a long line of quitters. It's amazing I'm here at all. Bernard from Black Books. Story 16. Some people will always need help. That does not mean they are not worth helping. Mira Reed from Game of Thrones. Story 17. There are no choices. Nothing but a straight line. The illusion comes afterwards when you ask, why me? And what if? When you look back and see the branches like a pruned bonsai tree or forked lightning. If you had done something differently, it wouldn't be you. It would be someone else looking back, asking a different set of questions. Max Payne in Max Payne 2. The Fall of Max Payne. Story 18. Personal is not the same as important. This is said by both Captain Carrot and Granny Weatherwax in the Discworld books by Terry Pratchett. Story 19. We live with dignity. We cannot die with it. Dr. Gregory House. Story 20. It's real life. You can't always win. Gerald. Hey Arnold. Story 21. And someday you are going to look around and realize that everybody loves you, but nobody likes you. And that is the loneliest feeling in the world. BoJack Horseman. Story 22. Get busy living or get busy dying. Andy Dufresne, The Shawshank Redemption. Story 23. I don't know how many years I have left on this earth, so I'm going to get real weird with it. Frank Reynolds. Story 24. I expect nothing and I'm still let down. Dewey. Story 25. It is like those lights in the sky. They all look the same from here, but that does not make them less pretty. River Wiles. This is my family. I found it all on my own. It is a little broken, but still good. Still good. Stitch. Story 26. A person is smart. People are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it. Agent K, Men in Black. Story 27. The right man in the wrong place can make all the difference in the world. Government Man from the Half-Life series. Story 28. Everyone always has a story they tell themselves to justify bad decisions. It never matters. You are always alone in your actions. Hawk, Dragon Age 2. Yes, he or she does say this in Dragon Age Inquisition. I had forgotten. Thank you. Story 29. A wise man can learn more from his enemies than a fool from his friends. Rush. Story 30. People like to invent monsters and monstrosities. Then they seem less monstrous themselves. When they get blind drunk, cheat, steal, beat their wives, starve an old woman, kill a trapped fox with an axe, or riddle the last existing unicorn with arrows, they like to think that the Bane entering cottages at daybreak is more monstrous than they are. They feel better then. They find it easier to live. Geralt of Rivia, The Last Wish. Story 31. Not everything is a lesson. Sometimes you just fail. Dwight K. Schrute. Edit. After 6 years on Reddit, a Dwight quote is what earns me my first gold. Appropriate. Story 32. Sucking at something is the first step toward being sort of good at something. Jake the Dog. Story 33. You can handle anything for 10 seconds. Kimmy Schmidt. Story 34. Losing people is a part of life, but that does not mean you stop letting them in. Lego Batman. That movie came out shortly after I lost my grandpa. He was one of the two people I was closest to. When he died, I went through a really rough period. Ever since I heard that phrase, it has stuck with me. Story 35. Some paraphrase of evil is thinking of people as things. Yes, it gets more complicated, but it starts by thinking of people as things. Granny Weatherwax, I think, in Carpe Jugulum by Terry Pratchett. Story 36. Better to serve a good man than to rule with an evil one. Merlin. That quote has stuck with me, and I have often thought about it. Story 37. The problem is not the problem. The problem is your attitude about the problem. Jack Sparrow. Edited. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for the gold. This is my first award. I am so happy. Story 38. What's your exit strategy? Lucille Bluth was yelling at her maid for having vacuumed herself into a corner. I haven't vacuumed a room without an exit strategy for years. Story 39. We accept the love we think we deserve. Charlie's teacher from The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Story 40. What is the most important step a man can take? Always the next step. Dalliner Colin. From Oathbringer, Book 3 of the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. Story 41. Confidence is the food of the wise man, but the liquor of the fool. Vikram, The Office. Story 42. In the beginning, the universe was created. This has made a lot of people very angry and been widely regarded as a bad move. Douglas Adams, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Edit. As Reddit user Frothingnome reminds me, it is actually from The Restaurant at the End of the Universe, the second book in the increasingly inaccurately named Hitchhiker's Trilogy. Story 43. If you want to know what a man's like, judge him on the way he treats his inferiors, not his equals. Sirius Black. This has always stuck with me because I think it is solid advice. Edit. Thanks for the silver. Whoever you all are. Story 44. The past can hurt, but the way I see it, you can either run from it or learn from it. Rafiki, the Lion King. Story 45. Pride is not the opposite of shame, but its source. True humility is the only antidote to shame. Uncle Iroh, Avatar, The Last Airbender. Story 46. Knowledge, like air, is vital to life. No one should be denied it. V for Vendetta. Story 47. And remember, bad times are just temporary. Katrina from Animal Crossing. Story 48. How much can a crown be worth when a crow can dine upon a king? Jaime Lannister. Story 49. Pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. Malcolm Merlin. Story 50. An old friend once told me something that gave me great comfort. He had read that Mozart, Beethoven, and Chopin never died. They simply became music. Dr. Robert Ford, Westworld. Story 51. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it has gone past me, I will turn to see fear's path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. Muad'Dib. Story 52. It's funny. When you look at somebody through rose-colored glasses, all the red flags just look like flags. Wanda from BoJack Horseman. Story 53. What is better, to be born good, or to overcome your evil nature through great effort? Parthernax. Story 54. Life is pain. Highness, anyone who says differently is selling something. Wesley, The Princess Bride. Edit. Thank you for the gold, kind strangers. It means so much that my favorite movie helped me receive it, and I love seeing all the other fans here. Story 55. Many that live deserve death, and some that die deserve life. Can you give it to them? Then do not be too eager to deal out death in judgment. Gandalf, The Lord of the Rings. Story 56. Thor's mother Frigga in Avengers. Endgame says, everyone fails at who they're supposed to be. The measure of a person, a hero, is how they succeed at being who they are. Story 57. You can't give her that, she screamed. It's not safe. It's a sword, said the Hogfather. They're not meant to be safe. She's a child, shouted Crumley. It's educational. What if she cuts herself? That will be an important lesson. The Hogfather by Terry Pratchett. Story 58. Come, Mr. Frodo, he cried. I can't carry it for you, but I can carry you. Samwise Gamgee is the friend we all need. Story 59. Faithless is he that says farewell when the road darkens. Gimli, The Lord of the Rings. Thank you, kind stranger, for the gold. Story 60. Had to be me. Someone else might have gotten it wrong. Mordin Solus, Mass Effect 3. Edit. Thank you to the Platinum and Silver kind strangers. The Mass Effect trilogy is my favorite series in gaming. I still remember my first playthrough. Keeping Rex alive, sacrificing Caden, trying to negotiate with the Council, planting the memorial on the crashed Normandy, keeping everyone alive during the suicide mission, finally resolving the Gethquarian conflict, and seeing Jack look after her own crew. But nothing made me stop, pause the game, and put the controller down like this moment with Mordin Solus. While not my favorite of the crew, that goes to my boy Legion. You do have a soul, my Geth friend. He, like Legion and like me, was willing to sacrifice himself for the greater good of the galaxy and to correct the mistakes of the past. You're right, Mordin. It had to be you. Someone else might have gotten it wrong. Thank you. Story 61. He may have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy. Yandu Udanta, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Story 62. Say what you will about X-Men movies. I'll be right there with you admitting that they never live up to their potential. However, as a therapist constantly fighting burnout and compassion fatigue in an unbelievably tough setting, the greatest gift we have is to bear their pain without breaking, and it comes from your most human part, hope. Professor X. Story 63. The hurt is good. It means you're out of that cave. Hopper, Stranger Things. Story 64. You win some, you lose some, but you live to fight another day. Willie Jones. Friday, 1995. Story 65. There is no geographical solution to a spiritual problem. Tony Soprano replied to someone who wanted to get away from it all. Story 66. I was afraid of becoming my father because I thought I never could. How can you become someone so great and selfless? You can only try. I spent so long fighting for the world I wanted that I did not realize what you needed. Hiccup Horrendous Haddock III. Story 67. Life moves pretty fast. If you do not stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. Ferris Bueller. Story 68. Do you think God stays in heaven because he too lives in fear of what he has created? Romero Spy Kids 2. Story 69. The world might be vicious, treacherous, and deadly, but it couldn't kill laughter. Laughter, like love, has the power to survive the worst that life has to offer. The building was on fire, and it wasn't my fault. Harry Dresden. Story 70. This quote from Breaking Bad is not as deep as some others, but when Mike talks to Walter after Walter does something, he says, "Just because you shot Jesse James does not make you Jesse James." Story 71. The world is not all sunshine and rainbows. It is a very mean and nasty place, and I do not care how tough you are. It will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is going to hit as hard as life. But it is not about how hard you hit. It is about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. That is how winning is done. Rocky Balboa. Story 72. Never forget what you are. The rest of the world will not. Wear it like armor, and it can never be used to hurt you. Tyrion Lannister. Story 73. Death is lighter than a feather. Duty is heavier than a mountain. Alon Mandragoran. Gold is even lighter than death. Story 74. Everyone I have cared for has either died or left me, except for you. So don't tell me I would be safer with somebody else, because the truth is I would just be more scared. Ellie, The Last of Us. Story 75. Happy birthday, my son. If only I could have helped you. Leaves from the Vine Plays. Uncle Iroh, Avatar, The Last Airbender. Story 76. Come on, look at me. No plan, no backup, no weapons worth a damn, and one more thing I do not have, anything to lose. So if you are sitting up there in your silly little spaceships with all your silly little guns, and you have any plans to take the Pandorica tonight, remember who is standing in your way. Remember every black day I ever stopped you, and then do the smart thing. Let somebody else try first. The Doctor. Story 77. I wish there was a way to know you're in the good old days before you've actually left them. Andrew Bernard, also known as the Nard Dog. Story 78. One is never alone with a rubber duck. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I took this one to heart and have a rubber duck with me almost anywhere I go. Story 79. Dark and difficult times lie ahead. Soon we must all face the choice of what is right and what is easy. Albus Dumbledore, Harry Potter. Story 80. You stay. I go. The Iron Giant. No matter how many times I watch this movie, this part always makes me emotional. Story 81. The best answer is usually the easiest one, and I'll be honest. Killing you is hard. GLaDOS. Wow. I'm surprised this became popular. Seeing how many people love Portal 2 as much as I do brings a tear to my eye. Thanks for the award, stranger. Story 82. Anyone can wear the mask. You could wear the mask. If you did not know that before, I hope you do now. Miles Morales. Story 83. Today I will live in the moment. If it is unpleasant, I will eat a cookie. Cookie Monster. Edit. I have woken up to all these upvotes and rewards. Thank you so much. Love you all and Cookie Monster. Edit 2. Now that I have inspired a Cookie Monster religion, my life is done. Story 84. We've all got both light and dark inside us. What matters is the part we choose to act on. That's who we really are. Sirius Black. Story 85. Always try to be nice and never fail to be kind. The Doctor. Capaldi delivered so many lines brilliantly. I don't know if it's the words or just how he said them, but I've kept that as something I try to do in life. Also the line where he's trying to talk down a war on Earth. And what do you do with that pain? You hold it tight until it burns, and you vow that no one should ever feel this way. Story 86. So this is my life. I want you to know that I am both happy and sad, and I am still trying to figure out how that could be. Charlie, Perks of Being a Wallflower. Story 87. Sometimes life is like this dark tunnel. You can't always see the light at the end of the tunnel, but if you just keep moving, you will come to a better place. Uncle Iroh. Story 88. By experiencing both victory and defeat, running away and shedding tears, a person becomes a man. It's okay to cry, but you have to move on. Shanks, One Piece. Story 89. When you do things right, people will not be sure you have done anything at all. Spoken by God on Futurama. Story 90. Of course it is happening inside your head, Harry. But why on earth should that mean it is not real? Albus Dumbledore. Story 91. You should not let the depth of your scars, the depth of your sadness, or the intensity of your despair keep you from moving forward. No matter how strong the pain, it is our duty to keep going. If you intend to drive me into despair, then for her sake I will wake you up. Ryosuke from Initial D. I saw white wings like on a bird. Later. There they are, those wings. Shinji Inui from Initial D. This one does not make too much sense without context, but whenever I see either scene it gives me chills. Such an impactful race. Story 92. Every time someone steps up and says who they are, the world becomes a better, more interesting place. Captain Holt. Story 93. Good is a point of view, Anakin. Palpatine, Star Wars, Revenge of the Sith. Story 94. It is important to draw wisdom from different places. If you take it from only one place, it becomes rigid and stale. Uncle Iroh, Avatar, The Last Airbender. Story 95. It always fits. Eventually. Stan Lee, Into the Spider-Verse. Story 96. Angel. If nothing we do in this world matters, then the only thing that matters is what we do. Story 97. Either you have an enviable memory or a pitiable life, to know nothing of regret. Sten Dragon H. Story 98. Finish what you started, human, said Kamaji, the boiler man from Spirited Away. My brain plays this as a reminder to never leave loose ends. Story 99. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, and the ones you love litter the roadside. Everyone thinks they are the hero of their own story. Both quotes are by Handsome Jack. Best villain and tragic hero ever. Story 100. People are built differently. We don't need to figure it out, we just need to respect it. Princess Bubblegum. In all seriousness, Adventure Time was an impactful show. I highly recommend that everyone watch it. Without it, I don't think I'd be half the person I am today. Story 101. You can only win a game when you understand it is a game. Let a man play chess and tell him that every pawn is his friend. Let him think both his bishops are holy. Let him remember happy days in the shadows of his castles. Let him love his queen. Watch him lose it all. Some men I can bind with who I am, some with where I am going. Others need to know who walks with me. Sometimes a bit of pain is what we need to cauterize the wound, burn out the infection. Cowards are the best torturers. Cowards understand fear. They can use it. Heroes, on the other hand, make the worst torturers. They do not understand what motivates a normal man. They misunderstand everything. They can think of nothing worse than besmirching your honor. A coward, on the other hand, will tie you to a chair and light a slow fire under you. Honoris Jorg Enkarth. Story 102. You are just one bad day away from being me. Frank Castle. Story 103. A lawyer can't cry until it's all over. Diego Armando. Phoenix Wright. Ace Attorney Trials and Tribulations. Story 104. Wizard's First Rule. People are stupid. They believe what they want to believe, or what they are afraid to believe. Story 105. Humanity does not ask us to be happy. It merely asks us to be brilliant on its behalf. Ender's Game. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.